Nice to meet you all. My name is Hosoda Tomoharu. I'm in Class 2C. Even so, this sure is a big school, isn't it? There are 7 of us here, and I don't know anyone. Not only do I not know anyone, I've never even seen anyone here before. Sorry for being so rude. I hope we can use this opportunity to become friends. So, Kurata-san, was it? I thought I'd use this chance to tell a story, just for you. Do you know which part of the school sees more coming and going than the classrooms? I don't know. Is that so? Well, try and guess. Where do you think it is? The toilets. Ha ha ha. Sorry for asking you such a stupid question. That's right, the toilets. No matter who you are, it's not good to try and hold it in if you need to go. So while you're at school for many hours, you have to go to the toilet several times. That's normal, right? Everybody uses the school toilets. But there's one person I know at this school that doesn't use them. It's not like he's constipated or suffers from some other strange illness. But at any rate, no matter what happens, he never goes to the toilet. Basically, nothing comes out of him. Can you believe that such a person exists? But he does. His name is Takeuchi Shin. He was in the 3rd grade when I was in the 1st, so he's 2 years older than me. Hearing that someone doesn't go to the toilet must make you wonder what type of fatty he was, right? But he was terribly skinny, just like a needle. By the time I started, he was already famous as one of the legendary boys at this school. As the boy who didn't go to the toilet. In particular, the girls took a lot of notice of him. I don't know how you'd feel about it, but there are probably some romantic girls that think that not going to the toilet at all is amazing. There were some girls that wanted to discover his secret and tailed his every move with glittering eyes. If someone didn't know, they'd probably wonder how he was so popular, with all these girls following him. Apparently, a television program even wanted to do a feature on him once. He steadfastly refused them, however. But can you really believe that someone never goes to the toilet? I can't. Right? That's normal. No one else could believe it either. I think most people felt the same, and that he was secretly slipping away to the toilet when no one was looking. Or maybe he was someone who went to the toilet really infrequently. I also thought he was pretty amazing, but I didn't think much more of it than that. I never thought much about wanting to go to the toilet or not. If I had to pick one way or the other, I'd say I loved that special feeling of liberation when using the toilet. Maybe I'm not very sensitive, but while I knew about Takeuchi-san, he didn't know anything about my existence at all. We had no common ground. But one day he came and spoke to me. I was shocked. I was eating lunch in the cafeteria when suddenly, "Is that seat beside you free?" he said and sat down. He was famous at our school and a senior. Plus, it was the first time we'd ever met. I was nervous. "Ah, yes, it's free it is," I said nervously. But he was very friendly. He was always smiling and easy to talk to. 3 large plates of curry rice were piled up on his large tray. I wondered if someone else was coming to join us, but as I watched, he devoured them all. I'm quite a big eater myself, but it shocked me. When he was done, his complexion hadn't changed one bit. He looked like nothing had happened. There are those skinny people who can eat everything, right? I stared at him, wondering where he put all that food. I was supposed to believe he could eat that much food, but didn't go to the toilet? It was strange. He seemed to notice my behavior as well. "It's strange that I can eat so much, right?" he suddenly said. I just scratched my head. "Yeah, and, well..." I bluffed with some vague answers. Then the day ended. I'd already forgotten about what happened. It might be better to say I wasn't even concerned with it. Takeuchi-san had just happened to sit beside me. It wasn't like he specifically wanted to talk to me. He seemed like that kind of guy that could easily talk to anyone, and so he chatted with me because I just happened to be next to him at the time. It's normal for anyone to think that way, right? But it wasn't just that one time. The second time, we just happened to be passing each other in the hall. As usual, lots of girls were following him. "Yo!" he greeted me. I was surprised. I was impressed that he remembered my face after we'd just happened to sit next to each other in the cafeteria. I panicked and said hello, but he just grinned like always and kept going. It wasn't like I was a new follower or that I liked guys or anything, but it still made my heart beat. It was like being friends with a famous person. It all started from that point. I started paying more attention to him. I started to think that maybe he wanted to be my friend. I had no idea why he would want to do that though. It was just what I thought. Still, I didn't have the courage to approach him myself, and it would have been embarrassing if I'd gotten the wrong idea. So I just thought about it, and I couldn't put those thoughts into practice. Then, the third incident happened. I was on my way home from school. I was plodding along when I heard a voice calling from behind me. Surprised, I turned around, and Takeuchi-san waved at me as he came running over. I looked around. I thought he was waving at someone else, but I was the only person there. No matter how you looked at it, he was waving at me. While I was thinking that, he caught up to me. Boy, those girls never give up, huh? It's a pain trying to get rid of them. Even if they do hang around me, it's not like anything special is gonna happen. He laughed, catching his breath. I just smiled as usual. Seemed I wasn't very good at dealing with people. "You're Hosoda-kun, right?" I was shocked. He knew my name. He burst out laughing while I was amazed. "What are you so shocked about? Is it really that surprising? It's not that strange that I would know about you, is it?" he said nonchalantly. From my point of view, it was very strange. I couldn't think of why he would know about me. I didn't know what to talk about. I struggled. He spoke to me about all sorts of things, but, pathetically, I don't remember much of them. I didn't have much to say in the way of answers anyway. "Hosoda-kun, are you free today?" he suddenly asked. That threw me. I was so nervous. "If you're free, do you want to come and hang at my house for a while?" he went so far as to say. Even now it's a mystery as to why he asked me to come visit his house. No matter how I looked at it, I couldn't find a reason. Why me? Why did he have to invite me to his house? But there was no reason to think so deeply about it. But that's just the type of person I am. I'm always thinking about things. I didn't know how to answer him. He appeared to be waiting for my answer. I told him I had things to do today, so maybe another time. "I have some things to do today. How about some other day?" "I see. Well, when is good for you?" he asked me gently. We decided on the date I'd go over. Then the day arrived. I didn't know that Takeuchi-san's father was a commercial airline pilot, and his mother was a famous teacher who wrote poetry and essays. Unfortunately, I didn't know her, however. They were like the perfect family. You could perhaps say that a regular person wouldn't understand. Can you picture it? And their house was huge. You could probably call it a palace. I stopped before the gate and, for a while, couldn't move. It was getting stranger and stranger that such a person would invite me over. I had mostly just done whatever he said. Inside was amazing as well. Maybe that's what foreign hotels feel like. Not that I've ever seen one, so I wouldn't know. Take it easy. You don't have to be so tense. Make yourself at home. He said with a smile, but even so, we clearly lived in completely different worlds. There were so many things there I'd never seen or touched before. Before long, he led me to his room. It's a little embarrassing to say, but it felt like his room was roughly the same size as my entire house. Well, that might be an exaggeration, but it really was huge. "Do you want something to drink?" Takeuchi-san asked me as I looked around his room. What should I drink? Nothing. Ah, I'm fine. I immediately lowered my head. You don't have to hold back, you know. Oh yeah, I have an interesting drink. My father got it when he went to visit India. They call it Sambura tea, but once you drink it, you won't be able to stop. Why don't we have that? He really was kind. A short while later, he put the Sambura tea out in front of me. It was black, and it looked more like coffee than tea. It smelt bitter and green, like a herbal medicine. It has a strange taste, so you may or may not like it, but once you get used to it, you can't stop. Go on, try it, he said, recommending it to me. Would you drink it? No. Thank you. I thanked him, but didn't take it. It might have been rude not to drink it, but honestly, I was scared of this unknown drink. He didn't push me either. A fair bit of time passed, but I still couldn't break my nerves. Rather, the more time that passed, the more nervous I felt. Hosoda-kun, have you heard the rumors about me? He suddenly asked. I'd only heard one rumor. I stayed silent and nodded. Well, you see, those rumors are true. I've never been to the toilet. I don't have to. He said it like it was so perfectly normal that it was almost like I had to agree with him as well. I started to think it might have been. But even so, the two of us were different. That conversation perhaps made me want to go to the toilet even more. Where's the toilet? Then he smiled strangely. We don't have a toilet. Nobody that lives here uses a toilet. Sorry. If you can't hold it in, then you should drink that tea. He pointed towards the sambura tea with his chin. His house didn't have toilets? Could you believe such a thing? And it wasn't just Takeuchi-san who didn't go to the toilet, but his whole family? I was so shocked that I was speechless. This tea is really good for your health. It works by clearing your body of impurities. It changes the things you would usually expel from your body into sweat, which then comes out through your pores. That's why, no matter how much you eat, you don't get fat. And yet, it's good for your health. Amazing, right? He said. What should I do? Should I try the drink? No. But still, I didn't drink it. Takeuchi-san sidled up to me. He was smiling as usual, but something about him felt terrifying. You don't have to hold back. If you drink that tea, you won't have to go to the toilet again. And your body will change in surprising ways. It's amazing. If you think I'm joking, then try it. He was so close, I could feel his breath on my cheek. It smelt green. Then I saw it. Beneath his skin, small green things were crawling about. It was like the microbes I'd seen under a microscope once. You wouldn't notice them unless you saw them up close. Takeuchi-san probably realized I'd seen by the look on his face. You don't have to be scared. They're a type of plant. They get active once they're inside the human body. Just like an animal. Then they eat all the impurities inside. That's why you don't have to be afraid. They're not scary at all. His eyes weren't those of a normal person. Then I saw it. The green things that looked like little bugs were even crawling around in the middle of his eyeballs. I was so scared that I couldn't move. I'll never forget his face. They might be a little itchy at first. They work beneath the skin, after all. You might feel a little sick once they eat through your veins and start swimming around in your blood. But that's just at first. You quickly get used to it. It's important that you get used to drinking it. Then you'll feel great. As he said it, he pressed up against me. Then he forced me to drink the tea. Ugh! I spat it up without thinking. It was so bad that I can't even describe how bad it was. It felt like chewing on bugs and feeling that liquid inside them spreading all throughout your mouth. The taste was no doubt close to something like that. In exchange for never needing to use the toilet again, you would give up being human. You would merge with a plant. No, if you drank that tea, the plant would probably take over. Takeuchi-san's green breath washed over me. I feel like we'll be good friends. Don't you agree, Hosoda-kun? He said, opening his mouth wide. His mouth was full of what looked like brown tree roots. It trembled as it ate away at the flesh in his mouth. Then, in the back of his throat, something that looked like a green caterpillar covered in thick moss peeped its face out. Was it a plant? An animal? Or a bug? Ugh! I pushed Takeuchi-san away and ran from his house. Even after I'd gotten back home, I continued to tremble. And for the next 2 or 3 days, I couldn't get the taste of that tea out of my mouth. I couldn't eat anything. Whenever I did, that same taste spread throughout my mouth. I took a few days off school. Once I had gotten better and returned to school, I heard Takeuchi-san had suddenly transferred. I didn't tell anyone that I'd been to his house, nor what happened there. Nobody would believe me even if I did tell them. Today's the first time I've told this story. Kurata-san, if you had been in my position, what would you have done? Would you give up being human to attain the perfect body? If you're ever recommended an unknown tea, I don't think you should touch it. There are still so many things in this world that we don't understand yet. To tell you the truth, right now I'm trying to find that Sambura tea. Takeuchi-san moved, so even if I go to his house, he can't give me any. He said that you'd get used to it after drinking it once, and those words have oddly been on my mind a lot lately. There are times when something might taste awful, but you still want to try it again, right? I feel like next time it might actually taste nice. And it might just be my imagination, but lately I've been feeling oddly itchy all over. I can't help but feel like there's something underneath my skin. I quickly spat that tea out, but maybe I've slowly been drinking that Sambura tea without realizing it. And then, over time, my body's been getting used to it. But it might just be my imagination. See, Look inside my mouth. You don't see anything strange, right? It's okay. I'm still a human. But Kurata-san, if you happen to hear any rumors about that Sambura tea, make sure to let me know. I'm begging you. That's the end of my story. You promise, right, Kurata-san?